I have seen more films in 2023 than I have any other year. I've seen over 70 feature films in the cinema this year. This is because I had a monthly subscription to 2 cinema chains that are local to me. It started off with an Odeon subscription, but it was a ghost town in there. So me and my friends switched to the Lite subscription. It's also cheaper too, so there's that as well. So out of any year of movies, I feel like I can judge this year the best. There was a lot, and I mean a lot of crap released this year. But on the other hand, there was a few great films. It's easy to view a year or decade with rose-tinted glasses, and that's because all the terrible ones are forgotten to time. So, was this year any different for animated films? I saw 10 of them this year, and to be honest, I only think 2 will stand the test of time. And what's even more sad is that I only think one of them is truly great. So yeah, we'll probably have another controversial video on our hands. So again guys, don't burn me at the stake, this is my opinion. I bet there's loads of films that you guys don't like that I actually like. And I'll happily respect your guys' opinion, but please respect mine. I'm not going to include any short films on this list either. It's going to be full-length feature films only. So thankfully I don't have to watch Mooned again, and a lot of these films on this list I've reviewed on my channel, so check out those videos if you're interested in a more in-depth analysis.
Number 10.
Migration absolutely stinks. What a shocker that it's last, eh? What else can I say about Illumination's latest attempt at an animated film? Nothing much really, apart from the fact of how outdated the whole product feels. And that's all it is, a product. There's very little heart or passion put behind this thing. And it definitely wasn't worth travelling 3,000 miles just to watch it, that's for sure. And I think Illumination may be in trouble at this point, because the box office hasn't been great for this movie. I mean, it still made them profit, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't the big numbers that they normally get. I think that the Spiderverse film was that influential to the animation industry, that it kind of forced movies to be more innovative. Otherwise, people won't want to see the new movies. I mean, the proof's in the pudding, guys. Who wants to see Rio again? Nobody, because we saw it like 13 years ago. Wait, Rio was 13 years ago? Jesus Christ, I'm getting old, guys. Wish is honestly a baffling movie from Disney. This was meant to be their 100-year anniversary film. This was supposed to be a massive celebration on the biggest animation studio ever. Literally ever. And what we actually got was just crap. The animation looks unfinished and looks like I'm playing Borderlands. And don't even get me started on the story. You know you messed up when the villain makes more sense than the protagonist. And you definitely weren't meant to get that angle from this movie. The king makes such a good point that not everyone's wishes should be granted. I mean, yeah, no shit, it would be terrible if that was the case. But no, of course the bland, quirky protagonist is right. And we have the haha funny side character again. It's just so incredibly underwhelming and extremely bland. Nobody's going to remember this film in a few years' time. In fact, what was I reviewing again?
8.
Ruby Gillman Teenage Kraken is a sad attempt from DreamWorks this year. I haven't seen Trolls 3 yet, but that will be in my DreamWorks ranking video, don't worry guys.
Dinging killed my dinging, okay?
But yeah, this movie has some strange issues, like stealing jokes from better animated films. And it's not just from any animated films, but it's from previous DreamWorks ones. How weird is that, guys? But yeah, this movie is just very rushed. And it also seems like there were cuts at the last second. Like the movie feels like it was constantly being reworked or something. Like why is there barely any scenes where the mermaids live? It's not like they're the main cause of the conflict or anything. So when they do turn out to be evil, it just comes out of nowhere and I really don't care. It's also trying so hard to be another Shrek, but it offers nothing new to the table. Something like Kung Fu Panda could have easily been another Shrek ripoff. But no, thankfully they did something different with that. This one is just too similar to a lot of previous DreamWorks films. It's almost like this movie has barely any identity. And Jesus Christ, the character designs are horrifying.
7.
Get out your pitchforks, guys. This is the hottest take on the list. But I'm staying true to myself here, so here we go. I wasn't entertained by The Boy and the Heron. Did I hate the film? No, not really. Was there elements of greatness in this movie? Yes, absolutely. But man, I just don't get the love for this one. It's like seriously baffling. I was watching this movie with my friend, and even he said it was the weakest Miyazaki film, and he likes a lot of them. This was the only one that I've seen and it just didn't gel with me at all. The animation is fantastic and the score is also very impressive, but other than that I just wasn't engaged. And also the emotional moments got the completely wrong reaction from us, as we were literally laughing in the movie theatre. The kid's supposed to be what, like 11? And he sounds like he's about 25. And we were watching the sub for the record, guys, and the actual fantasy world didn't even interest me, as I thought it was done at a serviceable level, but it wasn't anything I haven't already seen in film and TV shows beforehand. And because of this I really didn't care for the characters, and I was overall really dissatisfied with the experience. I do understand if you guys hate me, by the way, but I'm staying true to myself here.
6!
Elemental is definitely the most mid film on the list, and in some ways it's just the most disappointing. Apart from the fantastic animation, there's just not much going for this. The story is fine, the characters are fine, everything else is pretty much fine. Like, what do you even want me to say with this one? This would be a good attempt if it was from Illumination, but this is Pixar. They were once the best at making CGI animated films, but what were they doing here? I know that they can still make great films because I love Soul, but man, this one was not it.
5.
The Mario movie was surprisingly alright. For an Illumination film, it's probably their second best. It's not high art or anything, but it's leagues better than most of their output. I can't lie, I enjoyed it less on rewatch, but it's still a pretty inoffensive fun time. The story is pretty much what you'd expect from a Mario movie, and with that you get a lot of references to the games. And they're not the worst, to be fair, but sometimes it does get a bit grating. Also, I know everyone said this, but the song choices in this movie are a bit tone deaf at points. Like, why is there Take On Me and Thunderstruck in this Mario movie? It's just so weird and cheapens the movie experience for me. And the voice cast in this movie does work, to be fair. Like everyone else, I was rolling my eyes when I saw that Chris Pratt was voicing Mario. But I think he's fine in this, to be honest. And also, the animation is pretty fantastic for Illumination standards. So all in all, I'm happy I watched this movie. We all know the real reason why this movie didn't turn out to be a train wreck though. And that's because Nintendo was watching them like a hawk during production.
4.
Yeah, the fact that this is number 4 is crazy. But I'm going to be honest, the bar isn't set that high this year anyway. And I also sort of respect this movie. I respect it in the way that it's quite unconventional for a mainstream animated kids film. I was expecting this big adventure buddy road trip movie with Leo, but the plot really isn't that at all. It meanders quite a bit in the way that it's just him fixing the kids' problems, but this does kind of hurt the pacing in a way. But on the other hand, I do really admire this different approach to a kids' film. The animation is quite cheap, but it seems like it was done on the budget of a ham sandwich, so I can't really fault it that much. There were also quite a few funny jokes, to be fair, and because of how bonkers it all was, I really wanted to see how the film would end. So all in all, I had a good time with Leo. I really didn't respect the liar reveal subplot, and to be honest, I didn't like that it was a musical either, but hey, what can you do?
3.
Chicken Run Dawn of the Nugget has some stellar stop motion animation, and also has some of the Aardman charm, and I also like how funny the movie is at points. I'm also a fan of the new characters like Molly and Frizzle, and thankfully they bounce off each other quite well. The movie also feels quite British, which is good because I feel like some Aardman films lost that in some ways. However, the story is just so bland for an animated sequel, and doing things like bringing Mrs. Tweedy back, who literally died in the first one, stops it from being one of the great animated movies. I don't see myself watching this again anytime soon, but I'm glad I watched it for the humour and some of the set pieces. But as I said in my Chicken Run video, just please don't make a third one.
2.
The Ninja Turtles movie was a very nice surprise for 2023. For a Nickelodeon film, you could do so much worse. It was honestly very enjoyable, and it's one that I'd love to watch again. It gets extra points for having Mr. Beast in it. That was the only reason why it's rated so high, to be honest. No, but in all honesty, Mutant Mayhem is a very enjoyable film. It has a very fitting art style that was probably influenced by Spiderverse, and it reminded me of the animated show on Nickelodeon. The turtles bounce off each other very well in this movie, and the villains are a lot of fun, with Ice Cube being a good standout. The film is paced very well too, and it's incredibly funny at points. It is fucked up, but I do love this milking joke. Honestly, give this one a watch, it's surprisingly fun and I'm glad it's getting a sequel.
1.
Would it be anything else, guys? Across the Spiderverse is better than anything else on this list by a big margin. It's one of the great animated films, and it sucks that I missed this at the cinema. I know there's a little debate on which one in the series is better, and honestly I'd give it to this one. It has much better animation, a better story, and it's overall a little less formulaic for me. The first one was a solid origin story, but this sequel just upped the ante for me. Even if part 2 ends in disappointment, I feel like this film stands enough on its own to be remembered. I really hope it wins the Academy Award for Best Feature, it really deserves it. This movie could take up a whole video in itself, so hopefully one day I'll get around to it. Across the Spider-Verse puts most of these films on this list to shame. The fact that it's from Sony is just unbelievable. And it's not surprising that the second best film on this list was probably influenced by it. So yeah, overall I was disappointed with the 2023 animated films, and this year doesn't really have me hopeful with films like Despicable Me 4. But hey, who knows, that DreamWorks film could be good. It's written by Charlie Kaufman, who's a very talented filmmaker, and in regards to Kung Fu Panda 4, it has Aquafina in it. For fuck's sake! I may as well just rate it now. I don't even need to see the film.
It's junk. First class junk.